puppies are really cute, but they're little devils. This is Teddy Bear. I'm trying to make my first YouTube video, and this one will not stop. So if you see me with messed up hair in a YouTube video at random, this is why. My name is Maura Miller. I am the author of 6 new adult romance novels in the Over and the Cheap series. I do have one other novel that I've published, but it is in the Kindle Worlds program, and that since that program is ending within the next few months, the book will be coming off of Amazon. So I don't really count that one at the moment, although I am working on my next few books. It was last week when I was watching Kim Chance's story idea writing tag. That's what it was. The story idea writing tag. And I just thought it was fun. I've been watching Kim for a while, and she kind of just tagged everyone who was watching on her video. You know, if we had a YouTube channel or a blog. I do have a blog myself that I like to write, to post in once in a while. But I've been wanting to start a YouTube channel for a while, and I decided, you know, I'm nervous as hell, but I'm just going to go ahead and start. And I haven't really seen a lot of romance writers who do have an author tube. So, I mean, if you're a romance writer and you do have an author tube, please, please, please send me your videos. But yeah, I've been self-publishing for a while, and I'm hoping eventually I can give some insight. So we are going to just jump into this tag. I'm dying to do this. This is actually my 6th take. But yeah, so just a little background on the tag. The tag was created by Brooke Passmore, and I'm gonna link Kim's and Brooke's videos down below. But this is again the story idea writing tag. So the first one is current story. What is your current story that you're working on right now? Okay, I have a couple story ideas. One I don't want to say because it's for my Master of Fine Arts program. It's my thesis story. I'm still researching it. I'm not sure if it's going to really pan out yet. I've got to, like I said, I have to do the research. But then I have a standalone novel that I'm working on. I'm plotting that right now. But the main story I'm working on goes with my Cheap series. This is the first book. This is Cheap Guitars. The reason I bring this up is because Elisa Abernathy is the main character in this one. She has a sister who's named Kat. And Kat is kind of my trouble child. She's introduced to the series by having her head sliced open with a beer bottle. So yeah, she's my trouble child. And I got the idea in my head that I wanted to play with the jilted bride trope. I'm a romance writer. I love my tropes. There's a few that are a little overdone, but the jilted bride, I'll never get tired of that. I mean, I love Runaway Bride. That's one of my favorite movies. So I wanted to play with it. So the premise of the story is that Kat has been with this guy. His name is Ethan for years. They're in their 30s now. They're finally getting married. So I guess the story actually would kind of cross over a little more into the contemporary romance. But it still isn't a new adult series. It's kind of hard to. So yeah, I kind of been fighting with myself about the story, but it's new adult, damn it. Kat isn't exactly grown up all the way because she's been engaged for so long. And I just wanted to play with what happens when you have your whole entire life mapped out and then one little thing just ruins it. And then she gets mad, she leaves her fiance at the altar, and she goes to get drunk. And my main character Charlie, he offers her a happy for now. I don't want to say much more than that. I don't even feel like I'm describing it correctly because I have it in my head, but I always suck at describing my current ideas. You know what? I will post the prologue in my blog, but that's the furthest I'm going to go with it. So 2, spark of inspiration. Do your ideas begin with characters, plot, world building, or something else entirely? Oh, really? It starts with a scene. I have notebooks. I have this Aaron Condren notebook. It's kind of came damaged, but they're gonna fix that. But like I have this one, and I have a couple bullet journals and a few things like that, and I tend to write scenes down like that I can't get out of my head, and a lot of my stories have started with just one scene and one character or two characters. Normally I could do two characters because I write very much right, so it's just something that kind of gets in my head, and it doesn't let go, and so I have to write it from there. Yeah, so that's how that happens. Brainstorm. How do you piece your story elements together? Do you start with the ending and make your way to the beginning, or vice versa? I'm a very linear. I have to start from the beginning. My dyslexia is tripping me up. But I have to start from the beginning. I'm not an A-type personality. I'm probably far from it. You should see my desk. It's a mess. Like, I have notebooks that are about to tip over. Anyway, but for stories, for some reason, I have to start from the beginning. I have to work my way to the end. I'm a plantser, which is a plotter and a pantser together. I like to do beat sheets for my stories, and I like to pick, like, I have Act 1, 2, and 3, and then I like to, like, fill in pieces for, like, pinch points and beats, and maybe I'll go into that for you guys in one of my future videos. But I like to do it that way. It still gives me a way to kind of pants. At the same time, the story's still structured, so I kind of know where my mind was originally. It does change sometimes, but it just kind of helps me. And if I look at the whole story and I see, well, wait, this is not gonna work. This has to move, or I have to add a scene toward the ending of the book. I can do it that way. So I work from the beginning, and then I kind of work my way back up. Before I start writing. So that's what I'm doing right now with Cheap Promises anyway. It seems to be working. Let's see. What's the next one? Okay. For keep or toss, how do you know when you want to keep or dump a story idea? Well, actually I just dumped one. I was gonna write, again, in the Cheap series, because this is like my brain just wants to work on the Cheap series right now. It's really, I have a million other stories I want to write. Well, okay, I did. Just a side note, I made a list of what I wanted to write within the next 18 months, and I'm just trying to get the Cheap series finished. So one of them that I was going to do was a novella, to Cheap, so like a sequel. It was a novella, but a sequel to Cheap Sunglasses. I tripped myself up. Be careful when you start branding, because if you have a word at the beginning of a book, you are going to trip yourself up left and right. And I say branding loosely. But yeah, so this story, I was trying to write it, and normally I know, because I like to write on paper, obviously. I have, like, notebook school, or if I can't get past the first chapter on paper, then I know I can't write it. It's happened a few times. It's happened with a few cheap series stories. I have this handy dandy Pilot Metropolitan that I really, really love this pen. And if I'm wasting too much of this ink, then I know I have to give the story up. I don't know if other writers do this, but it works for me. It saves me from wasting my time. Because I'm independent, and I want to make sure that I give quality, but that I'm not doing something that's going to bore the readers. And I really don't want to touch May's story. I wrote that for a friend who was going through a really rough time. It's really more women's fiction than it is a new adult novel, but it's okay. I was learning as I was writing, and she just really needed that story. Let's see. Hide or share? No, I'm sorry. I was going to skip number 5. I was going to pull a Kim. She skipped number 5 in her videos. I'm kidding. So, number 5. Original idea. How much of your original idea for your story is actually used once everything's finished? I would say a big part of it is used. I mean, I might cut a few scenes, but I don't write a scene unless I know what's going to work for the story. I think I've written enough books now that I can kind of figure out what's going to work and what's not going to work for. I mean, if it's like one of my older stories, stuff is changing left and right on those, But if it's one of the newer ideas that I have, I make sure that I at least have a solid base before I start the graphic novel. Now things might change, but they're normally pretty close. Now the thing that does change is the word count. I think when I rewrote Cheap Guitars, it was close to 120,000 words, and we cut it down to 80. So, I mean, things do change, but that's naturally. This is something you want to happen naturally because, you know, I don't like to lose my ideas, but I'm not opposed to them changing. If that makes any sense. 6, hide or share. Do you share your book ideas with friends, or do you keep them a secret? I'm a sharer. I have to have a soundboard. The reason I have to have a soundboard is I have so many ideas that are flying through my head. I mean, I'm a prolific writer, and I get distracted easy, which it's I mean, really, I feel that's why I have only 6 books that I've written, is because I do tend to get distracted. And if I don't have a friend to sit there and talk through it with, then I get distracted. Stuff happens, like I start to scrap a novella, or the story starts to change too much, and I just have to kind of have someone as a soundboard. Now I have some excellent friends who can do that for me, but sometimes I get so excited. Sometimes I'll just tweet it out. So yeah. Anyway, so number 7, dream. Have any of your book ideas originated with a dream or a nightmare? I don't want to say that I don't dream, but I don't remember my dreams. It's very rare. Now, I've woken up with ideas that were playing in my head, but I wasn't dreaming when it happened. So sometimes I'll wake up and I'll have to write it right away, but I don't remember what I was dreaming. It happens. Number 8, doppelganger. Have you ever had an idea for a story, but then see a similar premise in a book, TV show, or movie? Well, yeah. I mean, I write romance novels, right? So some of it's been done to an extent. The thing is, like The Jilted Bride. The Jilted Bride has been done over and over. But the way that I see it is it's the way that you handle the situation, it's the way that you tell the story. And as long as you make it your own, go with that idea. Don't scrap it, because, hey, I'm writing okay, I'm gonna write another new adult novel. Okay, the sharing thing. You know I'm sharing. But, I'm writing a story about a were-chicken, and his arch nemesis is a vampire and a shifter raccoon. I don't know when it's going to be finished. I don't know how long it's going to be. It's just kind of a side project. I started in class. But yeah, I'm going to put a spin on that. Anyway, it's kind of embarrassing talking about it, but I mean, it's just so funny. I can't stop laughing about the story. Anyway, moving on. Number 9, big screen inspiration. Have any of your favorite movies or TV shows sparked ideas for scenes in your book? Not Cheap Promises, but Pretty Woman has a lot of influence in one of my trilogies I'm going to do. Just kind of a situation that she find herself in. It kind of inspired that. Vampire Diaries has inspired a lot of my stories. There's a scene in Cheap Guitars where I'm trying to remember it. Damon and Elena, they were fighting over Stefan, and he was trapped, and they were fighting. Elena wanted to go in, and Damon wouldn't let her. Well, I flipped that scene around for Elise and Brandon. They're fighting over the phone because her ex-husband is trying to get her to give him the guitar that Brandon gave her, and Brandon isn't letting her speak to Richie, or Dickie as I call him, because he doesn't want her to get hurt, and it's kind of that. It was kind of spawned from that. I mean, I changed it a lot. I mean, I totally took out the supernatural element, but it's kind of inspired by that. And there's a few other instances I just can't think off the top of my head right now. Happens. I'm nervous, so you guys will have to forgive me. Let's see. 10. This is the final one. Nostalgia. What's the oldest or first idea that you remember coming up with and writing down? Back to my vampires. I have a vampire series that I started when I was, God, I was in middle school. I was in middle school when I started writing the story. It was about a vampire who had an enemy. He was like kind of her ex, and he wanted her dead. And it goes back to the P&L Rod, a Chill in the Blood story. A detective was trying to find her and was trying to like trap her so that he could bring her to the main enemy. And it just was like kind of mystery, suspense, vampire romance, and vampire mystery, suspense, romance, and it is what it is. I stopped writing it when I was, because actually there was a second book, but I stopped writing that when I got into like my junior year of college, because that's when I decided that I really did want to be a writer. I was serious about it, and I started taking creative writing classes. So at the same time Twilight happened, I had finished a second draft, but I was kind of in this weird transition where I wasn't sure what I wanted to work on, and I just didn't finish it. I'm going to finish it now. It's going to be totally different than what I originally wanted to write, but it is what it is. And anyway, that is the end of this video. That is my last question. I'm done. I actually survived doing a video. I'm excited. Anyway, so yeah, I guess I'm gonna have a couple more videos up. There's some tags I have to answer from Jayne Easton. I'm tagging you, by the way. You get to do this story idea writing tag. Let's see. And I'm gonna also tag anyone else who wants to do it. I mean, it was really a lot of fun. It made me sit down and think about stuff that I haven't thought about in a long time. So that was a lot of fun. As far as for the direction of this channel, there's a couple things I want to talk about, and if you like them, please give me a thumbs up. I want to talk about MFA programs because I know that's probably something that a lot of writers, they want to do it, but they're kind of not sure about it. I'm in a great Master of Fine Arts program right now. It's genre specific and it's all online. So I want to talk about that. I want to talk about low residencies and all of that. So I feel like that could help some writers. And then I'm going to talk about Scrivener probably, if I can ever figure out how to record my screen on my Mac. And I have a bunch of ideas, so I might do some polls or something on Twitter if I get enough followers. Who knows? We'll see. It's kind of exciting and kind of scary, and I survived this and even edited a little bit in iMovie, so we'll see. Anyway, so there's just one more thing I have to say. If you would like to read any of my books, if anything I said or rambled interested you, all of my books are on Amazon, Nook, Kobo, iTunes, a few other places because I use everything through Draft to Digital. I'll talk about Draft to Digital if you want me to. But all of that stuff is in the links below. And yeah, so thanks for watching my video, and let's hope this keeps on going.